19 status reports, every single one marked green. And the project was canceled in one meeting. Professor Vance is here to help us take that apart, because this is the people task that quietly decides whether anyone ever escalates on you before it's too late to fix. Pin this one. There was a single 90-second move every week that would have saved that whole project. We get to it, and I promise you it is not a better report.
Oh, I love this one, because it looks like a communication story, and it is really a survival story. Picture Renata, runs a program, does everything the book says. Weekly report. On time, on template. Green, 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 all the way down.
And the sponsor cancelled it anyway. We have run this experiment 1,000 times. The report went out. Nothing landed.
And here's the twist that makes it hurt. When it blew up, the sponsor genuinely believed Renata had hidden the risk. She hadn't. It was right there in report number 14, paragraph 3. He'd received 19 of them and read maybe 2.
That's the whole episode in one line, isn't it? Sending is not the same as arriving. Renata was reporting. She was not communicating. And here's the part that should worry every experienced manager in the audience. Because most escalations you have ever been hit with, the ones that felt like an ambush, started exactly here, as a communication gap somebody upstream never closed.
It is worth seeing the opposite done right. Look at a room like this one. Mission control, rows of people, and the entire room exists for one purpose, to make sure no one is ever surprised. Every number, every status, every risk in front of everyone, in real time, with someone whose job is to confirm the message was received. That is what communication looks like when it is planned. Renata's project had the opposite. It had
A template is not a strategy.
That's the sentence, isn't it? She had a beautiful template and no strategy behind it. A template answers what the report looks like. A strategy answers who needs to know and whether they actually will.
So that's enabler 1, and it's the foundation of the whole task. Define a communication strategy. Not write emails when things come up. A strategy decided on purpose before you need it. And here is the thing that makes this task different from the 6 before it. You are not choosing whether to spend your time on communication. You already do. Look at where a project manager's week actually goes.
PMI's own guide puts it near 90%. The number is soft, the honest researchers admit that, but the direction is not in doubt. Almost your entire week is communication. So the only real question the exam is asking is whether you do that 90% by accident, the way Renata did, or by design, the way that Room does. A strategy is just deciding up front 4 things. Who needs to hear from you, what they actually need, when and how often, and through what channel. Decide those on day 1 and you are managing communication. Skip them and the communication manages you.
90% of your week, and most managers plan 0 of it. We schedule the build. We schedule the tests. We leave the thing we do most to chance.
Which is exactly where Renata lost it. She picked one channel, the weekly email, for every person and every kind of news. And the day the risk finally turned real, she sent it the same way she sent everything else. In green, in an inbox, to a sponsor who had long since stopped reading.
So before we go further, since it genuinely helps, everything we drill lives free at certs.professorerica.com. Free practice questions, free flashcards sorted by the people domain, task 8 right there. Go use them.
And the question I keep coming back to is the one the sponsor never asked out loud until it was too late. If every status report was green, why did the project still get cancelled?
19 reports, all green, dead anyway. Let's go find the 90 seconds that would have changed it. Real quick, because this next part matters to you. If any of this is helping, tap that like button, then hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next one finds you. Both are free and take about a second, but they tell the algorithm to show this to one more person who needs it.
Isabella, you pulled Renata's actual sent folder. What was in it?
Chaos, honestly. 200 emails a month, going out the second something occurred to her. A blocker at 9 in the morning, a vendor nudge at lunch. A genuine risk buried 3 paragraphs into a Friday recap nobody opened. She was communicating constantly. She just wasn't communicating on purpose. Every message treated the same, fired into the same inbox, hoping the right eyes happened to land on the right line.
That's the trap the exam sets for the experienced. You've sent 10,000 work emails. You are fluent. So you assume communication is a reflex, not a plan. And the reflex is the wrong answer.
And I want to name why that reflex feels so right, because it's kind. When something's on your mind, telling people feels responsible. It feels like the opposite of hiding. So an experienced manager sends more and calls it transparency and never notices the important thing drowned everything. So what's the right shape? What does a communication strategy actually look like on paper, not as a vibe?
It's a plain grid, and it's almost boring how simple it is. 1 row per audience. The sponsor, the steering committee, the team, each key vendor. And for each row you decide, ahead of time, 4 things. What do they actually need to know? How often? Through what channel? And how will I know it landed? That's the entire artifact. That grid is the whole difference between Renata and Mission Control, and it fits on 1 page.
The boring page is the point. A plan you can hold in your head is a plan you will actually follow.
And here's the part people badly underestimate, because it grows on you without any warning. The more people on your project, the more communication paths you are personally responsible for, and it does not grow politely, one at a time.
This is a real exam formula, and it's worth knowing cold. The number of 2-way channels equals n times n minus 1 over 2, where n is everyone, you included. So a small project, 5 people.
10 channels.
10 for 5, exactly right. But now push it up. 10 people on a project. How many 2-way communication channels is that? Take a real guess before I say it.
20.
45, not 20. And that miss is the whole point, because everyone in the room just lowballed it too. Double the team from 5 to 10, and the channels don't double, they go from 10 to 45. More than 4 times as many. Add just 1 more person to that team of 10, and you don't add 1 channel, you add 10, from 45 to 55. The complexity runs ahead of the headcount, always. Watch what 50 people cost you.
50 stakeholders. Take a breath before this number. 1,225 separate ways a single message can get lost. And this isn't new. This is exactly what those old telephone operators sat in front of all day, every day.
Every cable is a channel. Now picture that board with no plan for which calls actually matter. That is Renata's project.
And that is the answer to why you plan at all. You cannot personally work 1,200 channels. Nobody can. So you stop pretending you will. A strategy is just you deciding, ahead of time, which few channels carry the load that matters. So the sponsor's 1 critical line never gets buried under the other 1,200. Renata never decided. So her most important message, the risk that killed the project, rode the exact same tired channel as her least important one.
Green on the page, red in the room, and no wire between the two. That's the phrase I want you to carry, because it's the failure this whole task exists to prevent.
So the plan tells you who. And the very next question is how, because there is a 3-way choice buried in every one of those channels, and the exam tests it harder than almost anything else in this task.
$840 a month. That's what Renata's project was billing while its most important message sat unread. And the fix starts with a choice she never consciously made: how to send. There are exactly 3 ways.
3 methods, and the exam wants them crisp. Push, pull, interactive. Get these straight and a whole family of questions falls open.
Start with the one Renata overused.
Push. You send information to specific people who need it. An email, a memo, a status report. And here is the razor the exam hides in it. Push confirms the message was sent. It does not confirm it was received, and it certainly does not confirm it was understood. That gap, sent versus understood, is where Renata's whole project fell in.
Push is the oldest trick we have. Picture the first great push machine, a printing press. One message, thousands of copies, sent out into the world. Powerful, efficient, and it has no idea whether a single person read a word. 500 years later, that is still email. You pushed it. You have no proof it landed.
And push isn't the villain, it's efficient. A read receipt is a confession you're not sure it worked.
That's the right nuance. Push is the correct choice for a lot of traffic, the routine weekly status, the broad notice everyone needs on record. The mistake is never using push. The mistake is using it for the one message that had to be understood, which is precisely what Renata did.
So push is one-to-many, sent not confirmed. What's pull?
Pull is the reverse. You do not send it, you place it somewhere and people come get it when they choose. The project wiki, the shared drive, a dashboard, a knowledge portal. Pull is for large volumes of information or very large audiences where pushing to everyone would drown them. The reference lives in one place and whoever needs it pulls it.
And nobody pulls it until they already have a reason to look. Which is the catch.
Exactly the catch. Pull is wonderful for the 50-page appendix and useless for the urgent risk because it waits for the reader. So the exam's whole hierarchy comes down to the third one, interactive, a real-time, two-way exchange between people, a call, a meeting, a face-to-face, and it is the only method that confirms in the moment that the message was actually understood because the other person answers back.
Give me the everyday version so nobody memorizes this as 3 vocabulary words.
Think of your own life. A text you send is push. A menu on the wall is pull. It's there when you look. And an actual conversation is interactive, because the moment the other person's face goes blank, you know they didn't get it, and you say it again. Only interactive gives you that blank face in time to fix it.
So let me line them up, because this is the table to screenshot.
Wait, so if interactive is the only one that confirms understanding, why don't you just call everyone about everything?
Because it does not scale, and that is the real skill. You cannot hold a 50-person conversation about a routine status, so you match the method to the message. Routine reference, pull it. Broad notification, push it. Anything that must be understood, agreed, or resolved, you make interactive. Renata's error was using push, the weakest for understanding, for the one message that most needed to be understood.
Now, one honest thing, because it matters. Push, pull, interactive, that is PMI's guide talking, not the exam outline word for word. And I'm not going to make you trust me on that. Let's put the real Task 8 page up on screen.
Read it as PMI wrote it. Define a communication strategy. Promote transparency and collaboration. Establish a feedback loop. Understand reporting requirements. Create reports aligned with sponsors and stakeholder expectations. Support reporting and governance processes. 6 enablers. Notice what is not there. The words push, pull, and interactive appear nowhere. Those are the tools you use to satisfy these enablers, especially the feedback loop, which is next, and which is the whole ball game.
And keep one of those 3 in your pocket. Before this is over, one of push, pull, or interactive is the single most tested word in this whole task. Hold it.
Everything so far gets the message out the door. The next 10 minutes is where the message either lands or dies in someone's inbox, and it hangs on one move most people skip.
Okay, I have to say it. The profession that never ever skips this move is the one with lives on the line. Air traffic control. A controller never just says descend to 5,000 and assumes it happened. The pilot reads it back. Descend to 5,000. Only when the controller hears the number returned, correct, is the message considered delivered. The readback is the whole system. Sending was never enough for them. Because for them, sent not understood is a crash.
And that readback is exactly enabler 3. Establish a feedback loop, which is the least glamorous words on the page and the ones that decide everything. And notice it sits right next to enabler 2, promote transparency and collaboration. Those two travel together. The loop is how transparency actually happens, because collaboration is two-way by definition. You're not informing people at a distance. You're working the problem with them. It is the ball game. A feedback loop is simply this. You do not treat communication as a one-way arrow. You build in the return path. So the loop has 4 moves. You send the message. You confirm it was received. You confirm it was understood, which is the step almost everyone drops, because received and understood are not the same thing. And then you adjust based on what comes back. And go again. Miss the 3rd move and you have Renata. She sent. She never once confirmed the sponsor understood the risk. She assumed a green checkbox meant the room agreed. It did not.
Received and understood. 20 years apart, those 2 words.
Draw the loop out, because said fast it sounds obvious, and skipped fast it kills projects.
Let me make it a face. And Lewis, you've watched this one 100 times. Picture Colin, 3 months into his first cross-functional program, wants to be transparent. So every Friday he mails a 40-page status deck to 11 stakeholders. 40 pages. He feels open. He feels
Nobody opened page 2.
Nobody opened page 2, and when the program slipped, every stakeholder swore they were never told, and every one of them was technically wrong, because it was on page 31. Colin pushed 40 pages and closed 0 loops. He mistook volume for transparency.
And I feel for Colin because he was trying so hard. He thought thick meant honest. 3 months in, he genuinely believed the length was the care.
Then let me push on the word, because I think transparency is being oversold here. The honest, transparent thing is to send everyone everything. All the numbers, all the risks, no filter. Colin was being transparent. Hiding things is the sin, not sending too much.
That is the reasonable objection, and it loses to one fact. Transparency is measured at the receiver, not the sender. If you send 40 pages and the stakeholder ends up with a wrong picture of the project, you were not transparent. You were noisy. A 1-page summary they actually absorb, with a 2-minute call to confirm they got the one risk that matters, is more transparent than Colin's 40 pages. Because transparency is whether they end up understanding, not how much you shipped.
Fair. Volume isn't candor.
So here it is, the 90 seconds I promised you at the very top. This is the move that would have saved Renata's project, and it costs about 1.5 minutes a week.
After you send the status, you close the loop. One short, interactive touch. You call the sponsor, or you catch them for 2 minutes, and you ask them to tell you, in their own words, what they think the top risk is right now. 90 seconds. If what they say back matches reality, the message landed. If it does not, you just caught the gap while it was still free to fix, instead of in a cancellation meeting. Renata never asked. Her sponsor would have said the project is green, and she would have heard in 90 seconds that the most important message she ever sent had never arrived.
That's the unlock, the 90-second readback. But skip it on a regulated, safety-critical project and the same gap runs in reverse, because there the law wants it written down too, not just confirmed out loud, and that one is a business environment problem we get to later.
Confirm it lands, or find out in the cancellation meeting.
Okay, different animal entirely. Reporting.
Write it for the room it's read in.
That's the 2 enablers, actually. Understand reporting requirements. Create reports aligned with sponsors and stakeholder expectations.
And the trap is fairness.
Say more.
Here's my honest instinct. One report, whole distribution list. Everybody gets the same thing. It's fair, it's consistent, saves me 5.
It feels fair, it's just lazy in a nicer suit.
And it lands on no one. The enabler says reports, plural, aligned to expectations. Different readers, different reports.
So who gets what? Give me the sponsor's report.
Which sponsor, though? The one who reads every line, or the one who skims on a phone between meetings? Different report.
The skimmer. Realistically, the skimmer.
Then one page, top line, on track or not, the single biggest risk, and what you need from them, nothing else.
Put it on a map. Everyone placed by 2 things: their authority and the detail they actually need. Sponsor, top corner, high authority, low detail. Exposure and decisions, not your task list.
And the team is the opposite corner, exactly opposite. Low authority, high detail, blockers, dependencies, who owns what.
Swap the two and what happens?
You bury the sponsor's one decision under 40 tasks, and you starve the team of the detail they need to work. Same week, same project, genuinely different documents.
And the steering committee. They're up in the corner too.
Governance view. Are we inside our thresholds, yes or no? Not the how, just the guardrails.
Isn't that a lot of versions to keep writing, though? Less than you'd think. Same underlying data, 3 lenses on it. And the cost of skipping it is worse. Over-report to the sponsor and they stop reading, which is Renata. Under-report to the team and they fly blind.
Too much and too little both end the same way. Nobody knows what's true. Best reporting room I ever saw understood this in a bunker.
The war rooms.
Churchill's map room, same war, a different picture for each room. The wall map for the people running the day, a tight summary up the chain for the ones making the calls. Nobody got the raw feed, nobody got a slogan.
Aligned reporting, 70 years early.
And the vendor, quick? They're off in the middle of the map.
Their slice only, what they owe you, when it's due, what's blocking them. Not your whole project. They don't need it, and you may not want them to have it. Right report, right room, every time.
Last enabler, support reporting and governance processes. Lewis, what does governance actually add?
It says the reporting isn't your preference, it's agreed.
Agreed up front. Who reports what? To whom? How often? And when a risk crosses a line, what the escalation path is. And escalation isn't banned.
Never was. It's a threshold, defined in advance. Good governance means the day a risk turns red, there's already a path for it to travel. It arrives as a planned report, not an ambush. Renata had no path. So her red risk had nowhere to go but a Friday email.
Green on the page, red in the room. No wire between them.
So one report for everyone is the trap. Different rooms, different reports, one agreed path when it goes red. Now let's put all of it under real pressure, because you're doing the wrong math on this next one until you see it. 2 scenarios. Two scenarios, and the same fix is hiding in both of them. Professor Vance stays with us for these. And I promise the wrong answer is the one your experience is going to reach for first. Scenario 1. 2 senior stakeholders read your last status report and came away with completely different understandings of where the project stands. One thinks you're on track, one thinks you're in trouble. What do you do first?
Lewis, give me the 4 they'd really put in front of me.
A. Rewrite the report more clearly and resend it. B. Post a detailed clarification on the project portal for them to read. C. Get both of them on a call together and walk it through until they agree on the status. D. Escalate to the sponsor that your stakeholders are misaligned.
And my experienced gut says A. Fix the document. Clearer writing, resend, done.
That is the one an experienced manager reaches for and it loses. A is push again, the method that already failed to create understanding once. B is pull, they may never open it. de-escalates a problem you can solve yourself in 10 minutes? The answer is C. The message must be understood and agreed, so you go interactive in real time together. That is the method that confirms understanding, and it is the one you kept in your pocket from earlier.
And notice why A is so seductive. It feels like taking ownership. Better writing. I'll fix it myself. But the writing was never the problem. The problem is two people don't agree and no document settles a disagreement. There it is, the most tested word, interactive.
And on the decision filter, that is step 3. Go to the source. When there's a misunderstanding, you don't send more paper. You go to the people, directly, in real time. Push and pull a paper. Interactive is going to the source.
Scenario 2, Kickoff Week. A team member proposes a real communication plan. Who gets what, how often, through which channel, with a feedback loop built in. A senior lead waves it off, says we'll just email updates as things come up, like always. Where do you land?
This is Renata before she was Renata.
And the senior lead isn't lazy, he's experienced. He's run projects on email for 20 years and most of them were fine.
Most of them. It's the one that wasn't fine that ends up in a room like this.
It is Renata at day 1. Email as it comes up is the ad hoc habit the whole task is built to replace. And on the exam, the seniority of the person waving off the plan is the distractor. It makes the wrong answer sound wise. You build the plan at kickoff, a simple grid, and the discipline to close the loop.
Sure, but is one grid at kickoff really going to hold up all project?
It is not frozen. You revisit it when the stakeholders change. But a plan you adjust beats an inbox you react from every single time. The grid is not the paperwork, it is the decision to communicate on purpose.
And both scenarios collapse to the same move, don't they? When the message has to land, you stop pushing paper and you go to the people.
Every communication failure I've watched had a paper trail proving somebody was told. Being told was never the point, understanding was.
And that closes people task 8, and it closes the whole people domain. Look at what you've got now. You can develop a vision, manage conflict, lead a team, engage and align and manage stakeholders, move knowledge before it walks out, and plan the communication that ties all of it together. That's the entire people third of your exam, done. Next block, we cross into process where the work itself gets planned.
Glad to help. Plan it, send it the right way, and close the loop. That is the task.
2 things to carry out of here. 1. Sending is not arriving, so build the feedback loop, the 90-second readback, into how you communicate. 2. Match the method to the message, interactive for anything that must be understood. If this made the exam feel a little less like a trap, subscribe and take the free people flashcards at certs.professorerica.com, sorted by exactly these tasks. So here's the one to leave you with. What's the one message on your project you've only ever pushed and never actually confirmed landed? Tell us below. Next time, the process domain opens and we build the integrated plan that holds the whole project together. Until then, go find that one message and go make it interactive.